Alex, congratulations. Abangan namin yung laro. Stress kami sa because a lot of people were waiting. Kailan ang laro?
Alex Eala just made the whole world cry in Rome, and nobody is okay right now. Welcome back to Court Vision Plus, and if you are not sitting down for this one, you need to stop whatever you are doing and pull up a chair, because what happened in Rome at the Italian Open was not just a tennis match. It was not just a sports moment. What Alex Eala did at the Foro Italico was something that Filipinos are going to be telling their grandchildren about, something that made grown adults weep in the stands, something that sent shockwaves from the ancient courts of Rome all the way to the rice fields of Pampanga, the streets of Manila, the apartments in Dubai, the basements in New Jersey, and every single corner of the globe where a Filipino heart beats. This was that moment.
There's a very clever use of the drop shot.
And if you missed it, do not worry, because we are about to break down every single glorious, dramatic, tear-soaked, flag-waving second of it right here on Court Vision Plus. Let us start from the very beginning, because the story of what happened in Rome does not begin on the tennis court. It begins weeks earlier, when fans started realizing that Alex Eala was not just showing up to the Italian Open to make up the numbers. She was showing up to compete. She was showing up to win. And when word started spreading through the Filipino community, something electric started happening. People who had never watched a single tennis match in their lives suddenly knew the name Alex Eala. Suddenly they were Googling the Foro Italico. Suddenly they were checking ticket prices and flight schedules, and some of them, the truly dedicated ones, the ones we need to talk about because they are absolute legends, actually changed their plans entirely just to be there. There are reports of fans who were passing through European cities on completely unrelated trips who rerouted flights, extended layovers, and turned quick stopovers into full pilgrimages to Rome just to get inside that stadium. There are stories of couples who were supposed to be on anniversary vacations in other parts of Italy who packed up their romantic getaway luggage, kissed Florence or Venice goodbye, and drove or trained their way to Rome because being present for a potential Alex Eala victory was more important than any candlelit dinner or gondola ride. And honestly, can you blame them? Because when you feel in your bones that history is about to be made, when your gut is telling you that this is the moment, you show up. You find a way. That is what Filipinos do. And show up they did. The Foro Italico, which is one of the most storied and beautiful tennis venues on the entire planet, a place that has hosted legends and champions for decades, suddenly had a new energy inside it. There were Philippine flags everywhere. Not just small ones, not just the little handheld flags that you wave politely. We are talking full-sized, enormous, proudly unfurled Philippine flags that commanded attention and demanded that everyone inside that stadium know exactly which country they were repping. The yellow, blue, red, and white were impossible to miss, and honestly, the contrast of those colors against the red clay of the Foro Italico courts was almost poetic. Almost like it was meant to happen exactly this way. The chant started early. Forza Alex! Laban Alex! Over and over again, mixing the Italian sporting battle cry with the Filipino word for fight, creating this incredible bilingual rallying call that perfectly represented who Alex Eala is, a woman who carries multiple worlds inside her, who was trained in Spain, who competes globally, who is Filipina to her core, and who was fighting her heart out on Italian soil. The crowd inside that stadium was not just watching a tennis match. They were participating in something. They were part of the story. And they knew it. Now let us talk about the match itself, because this was not a comfortable, easy, straight sets walk in the park kind of victory. This was a 3-set, nerve-shredding, heart attack-inducing, palm-sweating roller coaster that tested absolutely everything Alex Eala had. 3 sets. That means she faced adversity. That means there were moments where things did not go her way, moments where the crowd held their breath, moments where you could feel the tension radiating through the stadium like a physical force. Any tennis fan will tell you that a 3-set victory means you were pushed, you were tested, and you found something deep inside yourself to come back and get the job done. That is exactly what Alex Eala did. The thing about Alex Eala that people who are just now discovering her need to understand is that this young woman has been on a journey that would have broken most people before they even got started. She is the first Filipino to win a Grand Slam junior title, which she did at the French Open Juniors back in 2022, and since then the question has always been whether she could translate that junior brilliance into results on the senior professional tour, where the margins are thinner, the players are more experienced, and the pressure is exponentially higher. The Italian Open win is a thundering, resounding, stadium-shaking answer to that question. Yes, she can. What makes Eala's game so compelling to watch is the fearlessness with which she plays. She has a powerful baseline game, she hits the ball with genuine weight and pace, and she has the kind of mental makeup that allows her to compete in high-pressure moments without visibly crumbling. That is not something you can teach. You can coach technique. You can develop physical fitness. But that competitive temperament, that ability to look across the net at a tough opponent on a big stage with thousands of eyes watching and a whole nation's hopes on your shoulders, and still play freely and aggressively, that is rare. Alex Eala has it. The third set was reportedly the stuff of legend. When you are in a third set at a WTA event, especially in a tournament as prestigious as the Italian Open, every game feels enormous. Every point feels like it could swing the entire narrative. The Filipino fans inside the Foro Italico were doing what Filipino fans do best, which is being absolutely, unrelentingly, passionately present. They were not just cheering. They were pouring energy into that court. They were willing her through every point. When she hit winners, the roar was enormous. When she faced tough moments, the encouragement was immediate and loud. The connection between Alex Eala and her fans in that stadium was something that people who were there will never forget for the rest of their lives. And then it was over. Match point converted. Victory secured. Alex Eala had done it. What happened next is the moment that broke the internet. She turned to the crowd. She looked at the sea of Philippine flags and the faces of people who had traveled thousands of miles, rerouted flights, sacrificed vacations, and cried genuine tears just to be there for her. And she said, softly, from the heart, two words that are going to live in Filipino sports history forever. Salamat. Salamat. Thank you. Thank you. That was it. 2 words. And the entire stadium, and then the entire internet, completely fell apart. Videos of that moment spread across social media faster than almost anything tennis-related has spread in recent memory. Filipinos who were watching from home, from offices, from living rooms in every time zone, from phones propped up in kitchens and tablets balanced on steering wheels and parking lots, all of them lost it completely when they heard those words. Because Salamat is not just a word. In that moment, coming from Alex Eala standing on a clay court in Rome after the match of her young life, it was everything. It was acknowledgement. It was love returned. It was a superstar in the making looking directly at her people and saying, I see you, I feel you, I did this with you and for you. The comment sections across Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube exploded. Filipinos from every corner of the diaspora shared the clip with messages that ranged from pure joy to deeply emotional reflection about what it means to see someone who looks like you, who speaks your language, who carries your culture, competing and winning on the biggest stages in the world. For a community that is spread across every continent, that shows up in every profession and every corner of the globe yet so rarely sees itself reflected in international sports stardom at this level, the Alex Eala moment in Rome hit different. It hit deep. Parents were posting videos of themselves watching the match with their kids, pointing at the screen and saying this is what is possible. Grandmothers who had no idea what a forehand was were sharing clips with captions in Tagalog and Ilocano and Bisaya celebrating like they had been tennis fans their whole lives. Young Filipina athletes in various sports were posting about how watching Alex made them feel like their own dreams were more possible. That is the power of a moment like this. It does not just celebrate one person. It expands the sense of what is achievable for an entire community. Now let us zoom out and talk about the bigger picture, because what is happening with Alex Eala right now is genuinely significant in the context of tennis history and global sports. The WTA Tour is one of the most internationally competitive sporting circuits in the world. The women who play on it are elite athletes who have dedicated their entire lives to the sport. Breaking through and winning matches at the level of the Italian Open is not something that just anyone does. The fact that a Filipina is doing it, that a Southeast Asian player is competing at this level and winning, is historically meaningful. Asian representation in global tennis has been growing, with players like Naomi Osaka and Li Na having broken enormous barriers in their own right. But a Filipino player reaching this kind of level and having this kind of breakthrough moment is its own specific and significant milestone. The Philippines is a nation of passionate sports lovers, a country that has given the world iconic fighters, legendary boxers, brilliant basketball players, and so much more. But Grand Slam level women's tennis has not historically been the arena where Filipino athletes made their names. Alex Eala is changing that, and she is doing it in the most spectacular, emotional, and cinematic way imaginable. Her management and the Philippine sports community have been working hard to build her profile and her ranking, and results like the Italian Open win are exactly what push a player up the WTA rankings and into the consciousness of the broader global tennis audience. More ranking points mean better seedings. Better seedings mean more opportunities to go deep in bigger tournaments. Going deep in bigger tournaments means more moments like Rome. The trajectory that Alex Eala is on right now is genuinely exciting, and the next few years of her career are going to be something to watch incredibly closely.
From first, Monica Puig will have the questions.
Alexandra, I think it goes without saying, you truly have the most incredible
The coaching and support structure around her has also been a topic of conversation among tennis observers. She has had the backing of the Rafael Nadal Academy in her development, which is not something that just any young player can claim. The Nadal Academy in Manacor, Mallorca, is one of the premier training facilities in the world, producing players who are technically sound, physically prepared, and mentally tough in exactly the mold that the clay court game in Europe demands. The Italian Open is a clay court tournament. The French Open, which is the next Grand Slam and the biggest clay court event in the world, is also coming up. And the question that every Filipino tennis fan is now asking out loud, and some are barely daring to whisper, is what happens if Alex Eala takes this momentum to Roland Garros? The French Open is where she won the junior title. It is where she announced herself to the tennis world as a junior. It is where she has history and confidence and memories of winning. And now, with a senior WTA victory at a prestigious Italian clay court event in her recent results, the idea of Alex Eala making a run at the French Open is not a fantasy. It is a legitimate conversation. It is something that the tennis media is going to be watching, and it is something that is going to have Filipino fans around the world setting their alarms regardless of time zone and positioning their phones and tablets and televisions for early morning or late night viewing parties.
Sa akin, malaking bagay yan sa pagiging Pinoy eh. Kasi that's how people bond. One thing that I don't see in any other culture is the sense of...
Back in Rome, the celebrations did not stop when the match ended. They continued late into the Roman night. Fans who had gathered inside the stadium poured out into the streets and piazzas around the Foro Italico, the flag still waving, the chants still going, the emotion still raw and beautiful. Rome is a city that knows how to celebrate. It is a city built on epic stories, on triumph and drama and passion. And on this particular night, a group of Filipino fans gave the eternal city a new story to remember, one written in the colors of the Philippine flag and set to the soundtrack of people cheering in Tagalog on ancient cobblestones. Social media challenges started almost immediately. Fans began posting their own Salamat moments, sharing stories of how they found out about the win, recreating the emotional viewing experience. and tagging Alex Eala in messages of support and love that poured in from the Philippines, from the United States, from Canada, from the Middle East, from Australia, from Europe, from everywhere. The hashtags trended. The clips went viral. The moment became a cultural event that extended far beyond the boundaries of sports fandom. Sports analysts and commentators who cover the WTA Tour and had perhaps not been paying the closest attention to Alex Eala's development were suddenly doing a very rapid catch-up on who she is, where she is from, and what her story means. Articles were being written, segments were being produced, and the name Alex Eala was being said by people who had never said it before. That is the power of a result like this at a tournament like the Italian Open. It forces the global tennis conversation to take notice, and that is exactly what has happened. For the Philippine Sports Commission and the Philippine Olympic Committee, this is also a moment of enormous validation and excitement. The investment that the Philippines has made in developing Alex Eala, the institutional support, the federation backing, the national pride that has been placed in her journey, all of it is paying off in ways that are visible to the entire world right now. And for the next generation of young Filipinos who are picking up tennis rackets, who are watching this story unfold, who are seeing Alex Eala speak Tagalog and wave the Philippine flag and cry with her fans on a famous Italian clay court, the inspiration is incalculable. You simply cannot put a number on what it does to a young person's sense of possibility when they see someone like them doing something extraordinary. Alex Eala herself has always been remarkably grounded and articulate about the weight of what she carries and the privilege of representing the Philippines. She has spoken about the responsibility she feels and about wanting to make her country proud, not in a performative way but in the deeply sincere way of someone who genuinely understands and embraces what her success means to a community. That authenticity is part of what makes her so beloved. Fans can tell the difference between someone who waves a flag for the cameras and someone who truly feels it. Alex Eala truly feels it. And her fans feel her feeling it, and that creates a loop of love and energy and passion that produces moments exactly like what happened in Rome. The Alex Eala mania that is sweeping through Filipino communities globally right now is real, it is growing, and it shows absolutely no signs of stopping. If anything, the Italian Open win has poured rocket fuel onto a fire that was already burning. New fans are discovering her every day. People who never watched tennis before are suddenly interested. Viewership of WTA matches in the Philippines and among Filipino communities abroad is surging. Tennis equipment sales in the Philippines have reportedly been on an upward trend as young players are inspired to take up the sport. One athlete, one story, one salamat from a clay court in Rome, and the entire sporting culture of a nation shifts. That is not hyperbole. That is exactly what is happening. The Italian Open chapter of the Alex Eala story is one for the ages, but here is the thrilling, almost unbearable truth about where we are right now. This is not the end of the story. This is not even close to the end of the story. This is the beginning of something that could be genuinely historic. The Grand Slams are coming. The ranking climbs are continuing. The global spotlight is now firmly, undeniably on this young Filipina from Manila who stood on a Roman clay court, looked at her people, and said thank you in the language of her heart. The world of tennis is watching. Filipino fans are watching with more passion and more pride than ever before. And right here on Court Vision Plus, we are going to be watching, covering, and celebrating every single step of this incredible journey together. So if you are not already on this ride, get on it right now. If you have been following Alex Eala from the beginning, you already know what it feels like to watch someone grow into something special. And if you are just now finding out about her because of what happened in Rome, welcome. You have arrived at exactly the right moment. Pull up a seat. The Alex Eala era is only just beginning. This is Court Vision Plus, and if this story gave you chills, if it made you proud, if it made you want to stand up and shout Laban Alex even if you are sitting alone in your room right now, then you need to show us some love. Hit that like button like you are cheering from the stands at the Foro Italico. Drop a comment below and tell us where in the world you are watching from, because we know our Court Vision Plus family is global and we want to see every flag represented. Share this video with every Filipino sports fan in your life, because this story deserves to be seen and celebrated far and wide. And if you are not yet subscribed to Court Vision Plus, what are you waiting for? Subscribe right now, hit the notification bell, and make sure you never miss another moment of the stories that matter. Salamat. And we will see you in the next one.
Maraming salamat mga kababayan sa mga bati ko sa birthday ko ngayon at sana subaybayan niyo yung mga laro ko dito sa French Open. Yeah.